This is a video explaining the Sermon on the Mount. I'm gonna start reading Matthew 5 to now to the Matthew 5 1 to 12. Later I will continue. Um, and seeing the multitudes, he went into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are, it says the meek, but I'm gonna say the modest, because there isn't the word meek in Hebrew. There is anev, which is modest, basically. Meek is a confusing term. It makes it sound like someone is weak or something. It means modest, like opposite of proud. Um and blessed are the modest, for they shall. Now, what does it mean? Inherit the earth. Inherit the earth is like he's talking about the earth that Ishaya is talking about in the last chapter. I think it is of Ishaya. He's saying, God is saying, I would create a new heaven and a new earth. The former things would pass away, something like that. You can look it up. In Ishaya, he's talking about new heaven, new earth. New heaven and new earth is a metaphor for God's kingdom. It's like the place people would live in after this world. The people who would live forever would live in God's kingdom, and new earth and new heaven. And also there is new Jerusalem there. There's there's a new city, New Jerusalem, new temple. In Ezekiel, it's in Ezekiel 40 to 48. It's talking about the new temple also and some stuff. It's all like images of heaven. So it's like the new earth is also heaven. So when he says blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Then he's basically saying the same thing about the modest. So he's also telling like that theirs is the kingdom of heaven. When he says they shall inherit the earth. Also because it says that the earth would heaven and the earth would pass away, so they couldn't be possibly living in earth in the future, because there wouldn't be like earth this heaven and earth, so they have to be in a different heaven and earth. Okay, so it's like blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So it's also the same thing that he said to the merciful, to the modest and the poor in spirit, which is poor in spirit. It's like to say someone is depressed, kind of sad. Um, and then he continue, blessed are ye, which ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecute they the prophets which were before you. So I'm gonna stop a bit. So he's like he's keep on saying like people. Why would he say what he said initially? Like he says, look, he basically explained it later, because he says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And then Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. So he's speaking for God. Whatever he says, it's like God's speaking through him. So like he's not saying anyone that is sad is like blessed, because let's say someone is sad because he tried to rob a bank and he failed, yeah. Then he's like, you don't expect him to go to heaven for that, right? Because he's sad because he didn't manage to rob a bank, yeah. So it's like it's like it's some is basically saying blessed who is sad or mourn or and things like this because something is suffering because he did God's will. Yes, so it's like he's saying, and he says that because the reward in heaven would be great. So that also indicates to you that all he's talking about in it's called Beatitudes, all these things that he says, it's basically the same thing. He's telling them all the same thing. He's basically saying to them like you would have reward in heaven. The ones that he's saying, he says different things, but it's like kind of, not all of it necessarily means exactly that, but it's mostly saying the same thing, that it's like that people, that blessed is who suffer for God's will, because they would have great reward in God's kingdom. Although he's also saying like that who is merciful would be shown mercy, and who is like and things like that. Who is pure in heart would see God, and it's a bit different. It's not exactly the same thing. But he's also describing to you like how he thinks people should be, kind of, it's like modest, seeking peace, and what was it, and like merciful, and whatever, and yeah. So it's like pure in heart. So he's saying like this is like good things that he sees positively, and people would be blessed for this in God's kingdom. So this is basically, but they would you're like expected to suffer on earth for this, to because people would like be treating you bad for it, or some other bad consequences for some other reason of how things work in the world, kind of because of this. And then it's like yeah, so that's what he's basically saying in up to verse 12 of Matthew 5, in the Sermon of the Mount. And he says like that they prosecute, that's what happened to the prophets before. Like, why did that happen to the prophets before? It's because they told the truth that people don't want to hear. He also was these are true, but it should be said that people don't want to hear. Um, that's like basically what happens to the prophets, that he is comparing, the people, those people too. And he also was one of those prophets. And then it's like, so it's like a lot of this stuff is supposed to be because of that. Okay, I will continue. Verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, well, it's King James is a bit. It's what I have at the moment. It's not. It's a bit hard to read, but it's saying I would say it in a bit more modern English. Is like if the salt loses its saltiness, then it cannot be made salty again, and is can it's like can be cast out, and people would step on it. But ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither the man light a candle and put it under a lamp, under a bushel, hide it anyway, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So it's like that's another like thing that he's saying. So I would stop here a bit. Then he's like saying that that's kind of why I'm making the video. Basically, it's like you should not like hide because you know you're afraid of what people would think and say. That doesn't mean I think you shouldn't go also and do the thing that people do. They go in the street and they try to preach to people, and because in this time of history, it's like it's not really you have so many ways of communicating that's actually going to physically to try to talk to people in the street. I think is a bit of harassment. Like it's a bit. I think you should talk to people in the internet or in some other ways that like it's like in the past maybe it was more reasonable, but now it seems a bit too much. But you like people now are kind of already got the message more generally I think, but it's like still you shouldn't like too much like hide and stuff. You should try to like be a light for the world, which is like means like to try to like yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's like what he means is like that is you should be saying what which is kind of what is supposed to lead you in the first place to what he said earlier, like to yeah, to say what needs to be said, even if people like and to not be so ashamed of people knowing you do some stuff that like it's like they should it would be like a light for them to maybe do the same and stuff like this to learn from and whatever and things like this, like what like why I'm making this video, so someone would maybe would learn from it, like learn helping me understand, helping you understand if someone watching it, and stuff like this. But it's tempting to hide because people might react badly. So it's like that's why he needs to tell this to people. Okay, so that was up till verse 16. 17 is now, think not that I am come to destroy the law and the prophets. The law and the prophets is like how people say in Hebrew, we say Tanakh is like how it is called the Old Testament is like the Tanakh is like Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim is like the Torah is what was translated to law. It's what was like the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and Nevi'im is the prophets. Is like so he's basically it's what was said basically like in the Old Testament before him. Like he says he doesn't come to abolish what was said before him, but to fulfill it. He says think not that I come to destroy the law and the prophets. I am not come to destroy but to fulfill. For For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, which is, again, he's saying earth, heaven and earth would pass, you know. One jot or one title shall no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Just a moment.